Welcome to the Operation Volunteer Placement Tabletop Exercise Briefing. My name is Chris Floyd. I'm with the Disaster Resistant Communities Group and will be leading today's briefing. So let's get started. First, exercise basics. You'll be using the Onyx system to drive your exercise play. So you want to make sure you have access to high-speed internet. All you will need is one computer, even if you're playing out as a team. Only one computer, one person uses their account to log in, and you will display the monitor of that computer through an LCD projector or on a flat panel TV, so the larger group can participate. You want to make sure your computer has Internet Explorer 7.0 or greater. You should not use any other web browser other than Internet Explorer. You also want to make sure you have a copy of your Volunteer Reception Center plans, procedures, and contact list. So to go over this real quickly, you need high-speed internet, you'll need a LCD projector. The computer you're using should have Internet Explorer 7.0 or greater, and you'll want to make sure you have copies of appropriate plans and procedures. Exercise scope. Well, first, before we get into the exercise scope, I want to emphasize that once you begin to play in the exercise, you're kind of going to question, well, what's the scenario that's driving it? Is it a hurricane? Is it a flood? Is it an earthquake? Well, for this exercise, that does not matter, since the focus of the exercise is going to be your capabilities to activate, manage, and demobilize a volunteer reception center in your community. Big enough to be able to process upwards of 700 plus volunteers through that VRC in a matter of a couple of days. So as the exercise begins, it's going to essentially tell you that local emergency management has requested that you activate the VRC, and it will not tell you what kind of disaster caused the need to open the VRC. Since there are teams playing in the exercise that are from numerous and various different risk areas, from hurricane to earthquake, we decided not to focus on a scenario, but focus on activating, managing, and demobilizing a VRC. So once you start in the exercise, you're going to be queued up to work through a number of scenarios dealing with the processes associated with identifying staff, recruiting staff to managing your VRC, accessing the facility that you would use, developing incident action plans, setting priorities. As volunteers begin to arrive at the VRC, screening them, ensure that they're giving safety briefings as well as other briefings, assigning them to appropriate organizations and agencies who can make use of those volunteers in the hours and days to come. And one of the important items we don't want to overlook is also the ability to capture the volunteer time that each individual logs to his service organization, so the county or city could use those volunteer hours as part of their federal match on a presidential declaration. And finally, the demobilization process of closing down your VRC as the disaster needs begin to wear down. The way the exercise is designed is for team participation. I mentioned it early that you will only have to have one computer, one person that'll use their username and password to log into the exercise on the day of the exercise. They will then display their monitor through an LCD projector or on a flat panel, and actually as a team you will review what is being presented via the LCD projector. A couple of important items at this point. First, the person who is driving the computer needs to be someone who can type and type well. In addition, he or she needs to have a proficiency of working online systems, basically a content management system, because he or she will be typing in responses to the various injects. And in injects, some of them may be somewhat long when you're asked to flesh out an incident action plan dealing with operating the VRC over several days. So make sure that that person has a set of typing skills and feels comfortable with working online. You'll also want to identify someone in your group to act as the facilitator. In other words, the individual to keep the discussion on track. If need be, drive everyone to make a decision and continue to move through the exercise. Once again, as mentioned earlier, the exercise is designed to take about 2.5 hours, but depending on how much time you spend on each scenario and inject, you could finish in under 2 hours, but it could play out much longer than 3 hours. So that facilitator is going to be driving the discussion, keeping it on track, making sure that everyone is thoroughly engaged during the discussion. So the two people that are important are going to be that person driving the computer and the individual that's driving the discussion, the on-site facilitator. With that ends our exercise briefing. We hope your participation in the exercise will be a successful one. Thank you.